Did you catch that? In 45 seconds, one of the world's top product minds just used 15 phrases that most English courses never teach you. And here's the thing, these aren't just vocabulary words. These are the exact expressions that separate someone who just speaks okay English from someone who commands a room at Y Combinator, closes deals with Silicon Valley VCs, or builds products that scale globally. I'm going to decode every single one. And by the end of the video, you sound less like a textbook and more like a founder who belongs in the conversation. Let's go. Quick question. Have you ever been in a meeting with native or fluent English speakers, investors, client partners, and you understood every word individually, but somehow missed what they were actually saying? Yeah, me too. And I've been speaking English for half of my life. Here's what nobody tells you. Professional English isn't about grammar, it's about patterns equal power. The phrases native speakers use to express skepticism without being rude, show strategic thinking in one sentence, signal they understand business dynamics at a deeper level. And here's the magic. Once you know these patterns, you don't just understand them, you start using them. You start kind of appropriating them and using them as if they were your own naturally. And people start treating you, well, differently. So here's what we are doing today. 3 things. First, we're going to do 5 everyday idioms that make you sound natural, not robotic. And then in the second part, we'll do 5 grammar structures, so grammar is still important, that native speakers use without thinking. And in the third part, in part 3, we'll do 5 business phrases that signal that you are playing at the equal level with those natives. So in total, we'll cover 15 phrases in one clip, all from one of the smartest product minds in tech. And let me introduce this guy to you, and then we'll get into it. That's Lenny Rachitsky. He is a former Airbnb product lead, and now he runs the #1 business newsletter on Substack with, well, I don't remember for sure, but more than 1 million subs. If you know how many, please let me know. And are you guys using Substack? And as far as his podcast is concerned, it's top 5 globally for founders and PMs. When Lenny starts talking about product strategy, competitive advantage, or why companies win or lose, Silicon Valley listens, they care. And that clip that we are going to dissect, it's from one of the interviews where he breaks down a concept that cost Walmart billions and gave Tesla a 10-year head start. But here's the thing that matters for us. Lenny speaks, and his guests also, they speak the real language of business, non-textbook English, the kind that you hear in boardrooms, speech meetings, and strategy sessions. And that's exactly what we are going to learn today. Now, who I am to teach you this. My name is Yulia Bimlina, and I've been in the education and tech industry for 16 years. I started, ironically, as an English teacher, and then I became a product manager at Yandex, and now I'm founder building 2 products at English for Impact. So my journey is from teacher to PM to founder. And here's what those 16 years, 16 years taught me. The language of business is not what they usually teach in IELTS or TOEFL courses. I've sat in many, hundreds meetings with engineers in Moscow, investors in Southeast Asia, Singapore, Vietnam, partners in Europe, and I watched brilliant people with amazing ideas get overlooked because they did not speak the invisible language, invisible, of confidence and strategic thinking. So I started collecting these patterns, these phrases, these linguistic shortcuts that native speakers use to signal I belong here, I know how this game works. And that's what this channel is about, decoding, dissecting the real English of global business. If that sounds useful, stick around and let's decode this clip. Alright, let's replay this and then break down what makes it so powerful.
Do you really think Walmart couldn't have built as good a website as Amazon and at massive scale? I think they could have. Did they? They didn't. They said, I hope this online thing doesn't really take off because that would be a pisser because we've got 5,000 stores across America and that would be a bummer. So you've got to ask yourself the question, can I serve a particular customer need with a set of capabilities that are going to be hard to replicate by my competitors? They either can't do it or they won't do it. And both are important questions because sometimes it won't. Same with Tesla. Tesla got a 10-year head start, not because OEMs couldn't create a fully functioning electric vehicle. They couldn't figure out how the hell you make a buck on it, and so they didn't.
Okay, so what's happening here? Lenny is explaining a concept called competitive advantage, specifically the difference between what competitors can't do versus what they can't and won't. Here's examples. Walmart could have built Amazon, but they chose not to. Traditional car companies could have built Tesla as well, but they didn't see how to make money from it. This is high-level strategic thinking, the kind that investors want to hear, the kind that separates founders who understand markets from those who don't. And notice, he doesn't say unable to do or refuse to do. Lenny uses, and his guests, they use specific phrases and structures that make this complex idea feel very natural and even conversational. Yeah, it's not dry, it's not so formal. That's what we are about to learn, the exact words and patterns that make complex business ideas sound effortless and down to earth. Ready? Let's break it down into 3 parts. The first part, everyday idioms and slang. Those phrases that textbooks avoid but native speakers use constantly. These make you sound less like a robot reading a script and more like someone who actually lives in English. Let's go. 1. Take off. I hope this online thing doesn't really take off. When something takes off, like a plane, it means it becomes successful, popular, grows rapidly. Think of a rocket. It lifts off the ground and goes. And same with good business. Here are some examples. ChatGPT really took off in 2023. Everyone started using it. Our product took off after we launched on Product Hunt. Actually, I've never launched on Product Hunt. How about you guys? Please write in comments and even welcome to use links. We will upvote you, those who have accounts. And I personally hope that this YouTube channel takes off, and you can help me, of course. Why it matters for you, the phrase take off. In pitch meetings, investor calls, product reviews, when you say our product is taking off, you are signaling momentum, growth, and traction. That's what everybody wants. 2. Head start. This means an early advantage. You start before everyone else, so you're already ahead when they begin. Like visual of runners, you can visualize runners starting ahead. Examples. Learning AI now gives you a head start in your career. OpenAI had a massive head start in LLMs. Why this is powerful? When you're talking to investors or partners, saying we have a head start signals timing advantage. First mover benefit. Well, of course, sometimes first movers actually fail, but well, anyway, it doesn't mean that people don't want to be first movers anymore. And a competitive mode. Strategic thinking in 2 words. Head start. Number 3, make a buck. It means earn money, make a profit, super informal, but you hear it all the time in Silicon Valley. Examples. It's hard to make a buck in this competitive market. The business model is solid. We are making a buck on every transaction. When to use it? In casual strategy discussions, one-on-ones with co-founders, brainstorming sessions. It makes profitability sound practical and grounded, not academic. But don't use it in a pitch deck on slides. Just use it verbally, orally, okay? 4. That would be a bummer. Okay, that means disappointing, unfortunate, frustrating. But it's playful, not dramatic. It would be a bummer if you missed the launch deadline. It's a bummer the conference got cancelled. Yeah, but okay. This is how native speakers talk about setbacks without sounding overly negative or emotional. It's strategic understatement, keeping things light while acknowledging the problem. 5. How the hell? Last one in part 1. How the hell? This is an intensifier. It adds frustration, emphasis, or disbelief. How the hell did it scale to 1 million users in 6 months? Yeah, especially if you're speaking about your competitors while struggling to get your first 1,000. I don't know how the hell we'll ship this by Friday, yeah? Okay. This is informal, borderline casual, borderline. Don't use it with your CEO or in a formal presentation. But in team discussions, founder chats, brainstorming sessions, it shows that you are engaged, thinking hard, maybe a little frustrated, but in a relatable way. Software version, how on earth? Alright, that is part 1, 5 idioms that make you sound natural, not textbook. Let's move on to part 2, where things get slightly more academic. This is where we talk about grammar structures that native speakers don't even think about, but non-native speakers struggle with. This is the stuff that separates fluent from native level, but we're not going to take a bookish approach with grammar either. Part 2 is where we level up. These aren't just words, these are patterns. And once you see them, you cannot unsee them. You'll start hearing them everywhere. And you don't need to learn complex terminology to understand that. Let's break them down. 1. As good a website as Amazon. As good a website as Amazon. Wait, shouldn't it be a website as good as Amazon? Nope, this is inverted structure, inversion when you change the order, that native speakers use all the time. Normal, a website as good as Amazon, and inverted version, as good a website as Amazon. Why? It emphasizes comparison, makes it stronger, more emotional. The as good comes first, making the quality focus. More examples. Do you really think we could build as powerful a product as Notion? It's as complex a problem as AI alignment. We need as experienced a team as possible. All of these sentences are more emotional than the neutral ones that you usually learn in grammar books. But be careful, think when to use it. It's when you're comparing your product team strategy to something top tier. It signals you are thinking at the highest level. 2. Can't versus won't or will not. Okay, this is the big one. This is the core concept of the entire clip. Can't versus won't. Can't means something impossible, like lack of ability. I can't speak Mandarin. I can't speak Vietnamese, but I'm learning. Won't means unwilling, will not. It's possible, but they choose not to do. I want it broccoli, right? It's not just future simple predicting the future. It's saying that there is a lack of wish. You don't want to do it. You want it broccoli. Why this matters in business? When Lenny says Walmart could have built Amazon but didn't, he's saying they had the capability, all the resources, but they lack the willingness. They want or wouldn't in the past do it. Why you need to master this? When you are pitching investors, analyzing competitors, or explaining the strategy, being able to say our competitors won't do this because shows that you understand incentives, not just capabilities. What motivates people to take action? That's next level strategic thinking. Practice. Google can't compete with OpenAI in speed, but they won't risk their search revenue. We can't scale yet, but our competitors won't enter this niche. Alright. 3. Did they? They didn't. Next is elliptical responses. Don't be afraid, that sounds a bit nerdy, but that's not as hard as you may think. Lenny asks himself, did they? And then answers, they didn't. Full version, not elliptical. Elliptical, it means shorter ones, cut. So the full version would be, did they build as good a website as Amazon? No, they did not build as good a website as Amazon. But that sounds super robotic, super repetitive. So native speakers, they cut the repeated information, and that's called elliptical responses. Did they? They did not. Just enough to use one auxiliary verb did not instead of repeating the whole thing. More examples. Can we ship by Friday? We can't. Instead of saying we can't ship it by Friday. Did you close the deal? I did. Instead of I closed the deal. Will they invest? They won't. Why this matters? It makes your speech sound confident and natural, not like you're translating in your head. 4. And so they didn't. Another ellipsis. And so they didn't. Full version would be, they couldn't figure out how to make a profit, and so they didn't create electric vehicles. But native version is much faster, it flows, it's more smooth. They just say no, they didn't. This is a cause and effect structure with the effect shortened. Reason, and so, short result. 5. You've got to ask yourself. This is a conversational way to express obligation or importance. You can say also you must ask yourself, you need or you should. But you've got to is warmer and more engaging. You've got to ask yourself, is it scalable? You've got to think about product market fit instead of must, which is like very, very upright. We've got to prioritize user retention. In presentations, team discussions, blog posts, podcasts, it makes strategic advice feel personal and urgent, not academic, not so rigid. Okay, that's part 2. 5 grammar structures that unlock native level fluency. Now, final part, business vocabulary. The phrases that signal you are operating at the highest level. Let's finish strong. Part 3, business vocabulary. It's pure power vocabulary. These are the phrases you hear in investor pitches, strategy decks, board meetings, and Y Combinator interviews. In part 1, I made you sound natural, and part 2 made you sound fluent. Part 3 makes you sound like you belong in the room. Let's go. 1. At massive scale. This means in huge quantities globally across millions of users or transactions. Examples. Amazon operates at massive scale, billions of products, millions of sellers. Can this solution work at massive scale? We are not just building for 1,000 users, we are building for massive scale. Why investors love this phrase? Because it signals you're thinking about scalability, infrastructure, and global ambition, not just a local solution. Don't say at scale if you mean a lot. Say it when you are talking about systems, operations, or growth that requires fundamentally different infrastructure. 2. Replicate. It means copy, reproduce, duplicate. But in business, replicate is strategic. It implies trying to copy a competitive advantage. Our network effects are hard to replicate. Competitors can't replicate our data moat. Tesla's brand loyalty is nearly impossible to replicate. Well, you can argue with that. What do you think about Tesla? Would you like to drive one? Why this word matters? When you're pitching or strategizing, saying this is hard to replicate is a shortcut for saying we have a defensible advantage, competitors will struggle to copy us, and we've built something durable. Alternatives: imitate, copy, duplicate. But replicate sounds more technical and strategic. 3. Set of capabilities. This means a collection of abilities, skills, features, or strengths. Examples. Our team has a unique set of capabilities: AI, design, and go-to-market. This platform offers a comprehensive set of capabilities for developers. We need to build a set of capabilities that competitors can't match. Why this phrase is powerful. Instead of saying we are good at things or we have skills, you are signaling strategic thinking again and competitive awareness. 4. Customer need. Simple, right? But here's the thing, how you talk about customers reveals how product-minded you are. Examples. Our product addresses a critical customer need: real-time collaboration. We validated this customer need through 50 interviews. Or the customer need exists, but the willingness to pay is unclear. Why this matters? Saying customer need instead of what customers want signals you understand jobs to be done thinking, you are solving problems, not building features, and you think like a PM, not an engineer. Combined with other phrases, we can serve a customer need at massive scale with capabilities that are hard to replicate. See how that sounds? That is strategic fluency, my dear. Number 5, fully functioning. Last one, fully functioning. Means completely operational, working perfectly, production ready. Examples. We have a fully functioning prototype ready to demo. The MVP is fully functioning, no bugs, no crashes. Traditional OEMs could build a fully functioning EV. Why this phrase matters? It's the difference between it works, which is kind of vague a little bit, and it's fully functioning, it's complete, production ready, and professional. You can use it in demos, updates, or pitches. Let me show you our fully functioning product. That's nice. A cultural note. Native speakers use this to signal completeness and reliability. It's not just working, it's ready for prime time. And that's it. Part 3 done. You just learned 15 phrases that separate good English from business fluent. Let's recap, then I'll tell you what to do next. Recap. Part 1. Idioms. Take off, head start, make a buck, that would be a bummer. How the hell? Part 2. Grammar. As good a blah 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 as good a strategy as Amazon's. Can't versus won't. Did they didn't, ellipsis, and so they didn't, another omission. You've got to ask yourself, you've got to. Warmer modal verb. Part 3. Business vocab. At massive scale, replicate, set of capabilities, customer need, fully functioning. 15 phrases. One clip. All from one of the smartest people in tech. And now you have them. You can use them. You can sound like you belong in the conversation. Here's the thing. If you are watching this, you are not learning English to pass a test. You are learning to close deals, pitch investors, build products globally, and lead across teams and continents. And that requires a different kind of English, the kind you just learned. Here's what you need to do next. Subscribe to this channel. I'm breaking down one clip like this every week. Real business English, real conversations, and real patterns. And please, comment below. Which phrase are you going to start using first? Or tell me, what clip should I break down next? Share this with one person, a co-founder, a colleague, someone who's trying to level up the game. Because here's the truth. The language barrier isn't about just grammar. It's about patterns. And now you know the patterns. See you in the next one. Let's build global.